What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the chat. I am Kneeckoh with Enter the Chat Gaming on the Enter the Chat podcast. Joining me is my co-host Rico.
Hola.
And finally, we have Toby on camera. He's been in like one video outside of this. He was in the Elder Scrolls Online, the next gen upgrade video he played with me. And we have another video coming soon that he's going to be in. But he is finally here. He's finally here. Toby, you'd like to introduce yourself?
Well, howdy. I'm Toby.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Perfect. Round of applause.
I feel I feel like I've known him my whole life.
Well.
Well, I mean, I have.
Okay, so we've got a series of questions. We went over them in the first episode of the podcast. What are we on? Is this episode 4?
This is like,
it's episode 4.
4 or 5.
Oh my god.
I listened to 3 last night, so yeah, it's 4.
Okay, so episode
There
4.
we go.
We did this way back in episode 1. It feels like we've been doing this a lot longer, but it's only 4 episodes. But,
Yeah.
so, first off, how long you been gaming?
Since I can remember.
What was your first console?
A GameCube.
What's your favorite platform to play on right now?
Right now is my Xbox S because of the Game Pass.
Yeah, gotta love it. Gotta love the Game Pass. I have to, before we go on, Rico said I'm turned into a slight Xbot. I'm turned into like a fanboy a little bit. The more I play,
A little bit.
And
Like,
I mean, you do talk about it a lot.
it's hard not to. There's so many games to play.
Dude, I've seen you like in like 2 or 3 videos wearing that same Xbox Couture t-shirt now.
Well, you gotta understand, I record multiple videos all in one day. But anyways, back to Toby. What's your favorite game genre?
Probably just RPG.
RPGs? Okay. Favorite game of all time to wrap it up?
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It always is. It always is.
I mean, I'd probably have to give it to Skyrim just for the sheer amount of hours I've put in
I
on
was gonna
so many
say,
different consoles.
I was
That's
gonna say
fair.
the
I
amount
don't
of
know
times
how many I put in on PS3. I bought it on PC and downloaded how many mods and played over 400 hours worth of it. And then I had it on PS4 and played I don't know how many hours. I had it on Switch for a little bit. Like, I mean, it has to be, right?
I was gonna say
You
the amount of
basically
time I've
played
seen
it
you replay that game. I would say I could have probably just guessed that.
I mean, there's definitely enough replay value to warrant it. Like, bunch of different playthroughs, try different builds and everything like that.
Indeed. But now that that's out of the way, a little housekeeping. We are the End of the Chat Gaming podcast. We are on podcast services. We're still not on Apple Podcast. I don't know what the hell's up with that. I don't know.
Because we hate fruit.
We're on everything else. We're on like Spotify. We're on Google Podcasts. We're on a bunch of other ones. I don't even know the names of them because they're so obscure. But the 2 big ones there, we're on Spotify and Google Podcasts we're on. And then we also have the video format on YouTube for everybody to check out. This week on the Enter the Chat YouTube channel, we had the Psychonauts vid that I did talking about why you should be excited for Psychonauts 2 because Psychonauts is freaking awesome. Last week's episode of the podcast, which went up a day late because of the holiday last weekend, where we went over the history of gaming. And then Rico covered the PlayStation Plus games for July. I reviewed Space Jam: A New Legacy, the game, which is not a basketball game, believe it or not. And then Tony and I also have a video going up that is covering Second Extinction on Xbox Game Pass. That is all that has happened over the course of the last week. I think that Second Extinction video will probably go up after we get done recording this. But let's talk about what games we're playing, because we actually don't have a topic this week. There hasn't been a whole lot going on, so we're just going to kind of wing it and see what happens. But what have we been playing? I'm kicking it to Rico.
Yeah, this is basically going to be the scuffed episode, because I will let me just start by saying, like, for those of you who don't know, like, Kneeckoh will typically type up, like, a main topic and then some bullet points for what we talk about for that episode. This time we got nothing, so we're just going with the flow. But let's see, this week, I haven't started on anything new yet, but I did finally beat, I guess you could say, the first half of Scarlet Nexus. Like, I could stop right now, I won't need to, like, play the other half, but I did technically beat it. And what a story, characters, my god, this is gonna be, that game's probably gonna be one of my personal favorites for this year.
Yeah, you kept texting me about it, and after watching the gameplay, I would never have gotten through that prologue. I would have never made it. The amount that I chopped out of that video was absurd. He sent me an hour and a half, and it's like a 25-minute video.
It's I was gonna say it's definitely not a perfect game. There's still the flaws, but like once you get through that prologue and everything, it does really shine.
Yeah, I could not make it through. I'm glad you liked it. Is there a second playthrough with the other character?
Yeah, so like how it goes, like both the characters you see on the screen are like both characters you can choose to start to play as, and it's basically it's still the same story that you're playing through, but you're gonna play it through like they both have their different perspectives and events that they go through as you go through the game.
So are you gonna go
So
back
like
through it again?
yeah, and what's nice is that I can go through like the other character, the girl's playthrough, but it's gonna be through New Game Plus mode, so I'm still gonna keep like my level, abilities, upgrades, all that stuff.
Oh, nice, nice.
How many hours it take you to beat it?
A little over 20, and you would think maybe it'd take like about 40 to do both, but since the second one would be New Game Plus, it might actually be quicker. But for this first one, a little more than 20 hours.
That's not too bad.
Yeah,
No, that's not
I could see the New
terrible.
Game Plus being quicker because you're more powerful. Plus, if they do have any overlapping parts, you could just kind of skip through that.
Yeah, and which that stuff's stuff that really overlaps is until like closer to the end.
Mm-hmm.
So really, majority of it is new perspective until you get closer to that end game stuff.
Yeah. So that's it. That's all you've been playing, Scarlet Nexus, just grinding.
Yeah, well, I just finished that. I haven't started a New Game Plus yet, and now I'm just kind of debating. I was like, okay, now what do I want to start playing next? And it's between like Immortals, Phoenix Rising DLC, and who knows God what else.
Yeah, the backlog I literally had to sit down this week and I had to make a list of all the games and rank them of importance that I actually needed to beat them. Like right at the top is Psychonauts. I'm so close to finishing it, and the sequel comes out next month, so I have to finish up Psychonauts. And then I have like, Boomerang X, which I've almost finished on Switch, Monster Hunter Stories 2, and then like all the games that have really close sequels. So like Ghost of Tsushima is up at the top of my list because they're getting that expansion. Right. So I had to go in and rank because my backlog is getting stupid with Xbox Game Pass and having all those other games at my disposal.
Oh yeah, I know. Like the PlayStation Plus free games alone, I have so many stuff that's just in my library that I could just go through and probably pick something. Like who knows? Maybe the next game I play might be Plague Tale's Innocence. Since
I actually installed that on my PS5.
version.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about playing that as well.
All right. Yeah. Plus, I don't think it's a terribly long game.
Yeah, I didn't see anything that said it was super long. But kicking it to Toby, what have you been playing?
I mean, I haven't been playing much. I just finished my internship up Friday, so I was pretty busy all week. I just pretty much have played Smite and Second Extinction with you. And
that game is a treat. Let me say, that game is a freaking delight. I was not expecting to like that game as much as I do.
I mean, I like it. I wish I had more people to play with so we could have like a full squad.
Is it Xbox exclusive?
Yes. Just get an Xbox. It's time.
Oh yeah, it's that easy.
It's that easy. It's that easy. Just get an Xbox.
Yeah, Xbox.
Well, it's on. I believe it's on Steam as well.
You really think I'm going to be able to run anything on this dinosaur to computer?
No, I don't.
Exactly. No.
But it is. I believe it's also on Steam and it's on PC Game Pass. But I mean, you could probably play it on if you have an iPad. You might be able to run it on that. I don't know if it's on cloud.
Oh God, busting out the old iPad.
But
I might try it out one day.
Because last night, Toby was just like, just install it. Just install it and we'll run a couple.
It's really small.
And we ended up playing from like 8 o'clock to like 11:30. We were just running, murking dinosaurs. Like, think Left 4 Dead with like some open map and there's objectives all over the place. Yeah, dude. I
know the game you're talking about.
And they straight ripped. Every dinosaur looks like something in Jurassic World that they built in the hybrid lab, dude. Like the raptors look exactly like the Indoraptor in the second Jurassic World movie. But it's super fun. It's a little clunky, and this is one thing I like about Game Pass, is that it's in early access on Game Pass. It's called a game preview. It's not like the full game. They even put a warning up. It's like, hey, this game is still in development. There's gonna be bugs. Right. Give some feedback. But that's super awesome that they let you play the game early so they can get the feedback from players and keep putting out content. And this game is super fun. It looks really good. And we played through all the campaign levels last night. I got all the achievements for that. But I'm ready to hop back in and keep ranking up guns because, like, you gain resources from killing the dinosaurs, and you get their different parts, and you can use that to add new attachments to guns. There's different characters with different abilities. Like, there's a ton of replay value here, and I feel once they add a couple more maps and like dinosaur types and maybe more guns and stuff, it's going to be a blast. In their roadmap, they've hit everything on the roadmap so far. It just came out on Game Pass in April, which they put on their roadmap. The newest update was the biggest one they had was the July update, and that went live on the 1st, I believe. And then right now they're saying the next update isn't until November, but I got a lot of content to get through in that game, and I'm excited to hop back in because it was a blast.
Plus, like, something like that's gotta have you excited eventually for when Back for Blood comes out. That's gonna be more of that type of gameplay.
Yeah, I was saying that to Toby last night. I was like, dude, I like this game, but it gets me excited for more co-op games like this where we can just hop in and all goof around and have a good time.
Right. I'm hoping Back for Blood. I don't know if they've already said it was or not. I'm hoping it's like crossplay because then I could just play with like you guys.
I think it's crossplay. I don't remember if they've made an official statement about it yet or not, but I assume it would be.
I was gonna say it'd be smart for it to be crossplay. I don't know why you wouldn't make it crossplay.
Especially with a game like that where you gotta pay the money to get into it. It makes more sense to allow everybody to play together to keep that community going.
Right.
So Smite and Second Extinction, that's all you played, Tobe?
I mean, I played a little bit of Outer Worlds, but I'm still like
chipping away at that bad boy.
I'm just slowly whittling away at it.
Yeah. All right, hold on. Let me just crack the knuckles here because I've played everything under the goddamn sun this week.
Oh wait, get the counter up in the corner.
Yeah, we'll throw a counter up there. I played. What did we start with? We finished Miles Morales. I talked about that last week. Before the last podcast, I finished it. I played through the entire game again after wrapping up all the trophies in New Game Plus mode. And I'm telling you, after you cut through all of those cutscenes in Miles Morales, it really chops it down to like a 3-hour story. If you just mainline it and cut through all that stuff, it's only like 3 hours. But if you do the side stuff, that's where a lot of the extra hours come into play.
Yeah, it's not like a huge game at all, really.
Yeah, and then I popped the plat on that. I started Astro's Playroom immediately after. That game, I have to say, I have to stop on Astro's Playroom. For a free game, wow. And I've never played a game on a PlayStation or an Xbox that reeked of Nintendo as much as Astro's Playroom. It felt like a Mario or a Yoshi game 100%, and it was super fun. And the way it uses the DualSense is the best on the console thus far.
It's like the best demo for a new controller that you can do out there.
It was super good. It was so much fun. I got the plat on that the day after the Spider-Man Miles Morales plat. I grinded that out, and I played. That was awesome. Getting all the collectibles being the different PlayStation stuff throughout the years, like the controllers and the VR headsets and all the consoles. It was super cool.
And what's crazy, like when you go into like that viewing room, how much like actual detail is put into like those just in-game models and being able to interact with them.
Oh, 100%. It was super fun. And the levels, I loved seeing the little robots play out different games. Like the one where there was like this one robot with a bunch of mushrooms on his head, and he was like clicking around, and there were another robot. One was a little girl and one was a guy, and they were like hiding behind a wall, and the guy had he was Last of Us. He had a fucking brick in his hand. He was ready to beat the other robot over the head with it. I was like, what is this? And then they were playing the PSP, and they all had the different Monster Hunter weapons. I was like, this is awesome.
I know, and there was like, I was watching Nag play it one day, and he was in the one level where you're like in the middle of a lightning storm, and he's like looking around. I was like, okay, where the fuck is the infamous reference?
Yeah, and he's like rail grinding.
he's like, there it is.
Yeah, he's grinding on the rails with the lightning behind him. I was like, that is so badass. So yeah, Astro's Playroom was freaking awesome. What the hell else is there? There's so many games I've been playing. We had Second Extinction, obviously, which we talked about. Second Extinction was super fun, and I'm going to be hopping back into that a lot. I had, Boomerang X, and that game, give Doom Guy a boomerang and give him a couple more power-ups, and that is Boomerang X. And it's on Switch, and I want to say it's on PC. I don't think it's on anything else right now. Devolver Digital makes some good-ass games, and this is just another great one. I will say the performance on the Switch is not as great as I was hoping. It's got a really interesting art style, so it doesn't really lag a lot. It's just these weird screen freezes here and there that happen. And that is kind of annoying, especially with how fast-paced this game is. And I definitely don't know how you would play this game without a Pro Controller. I could see it being extremely annoying without the Pro Controller.
Yeah, I've had a Switch for how many years, and this is the best controller I got right now, and it's the really like cheap ones for like $20.
But yeah, I have not even touched it handheld because I'm like, I don't think this would be any fun. My hands would cramp up. It would suck.
Oh no,
It would not be a good time. Still chipping away at Mario Golf, just playing here and there.
Chip.
Oh yeah, there you go. Pun definitely was intended there. I didn't just accidentally do that.
Yeah, no, not at all.
What else? Monster Hunter Stories 2. That was when I put on pre-order when they announced it, and I didn't play the original, so I had no real expectations for it. But I am really, really liking it so far. The story seems interesting. I'm not super far into it, but the story seems interesting enough with what they laid out, and the combat is actually pretty fun, where there's only like 3 types of attacks, and obviously it just goes in a triangle, one's stronger than the other, but it's like a head-to-head. You kind of got to guess what the other is going to use. Most of the time, if you know what monster you're going against, you know what kind, like a Velocidrome is going to use a speed attack because it's kind of small and nimble. But like,
so in other words, like super stylish rock paper scissors.
Yeah, but most of the time you know exactly what they're going to throw. It's like if you were playing rock paper scissors and every time this guy thought rock was going to win, so you just kept throwing paper. It's basically that. But then when you piss the monster off, much like in Monster Hunter, they can get more aggressive, so they change up which one they're using. So it's between that and then you have a couple NPC partners that you'll have along the way, and you can like sync up attacks with them, and you can sync up attacks with your monsties, and you could get new monsties by going into monster layers. It's really, really fun. It's a cute art style for Monster Hunter, and it makes me want to play more of the normal Monster Hunter, which is weird because they're my friends in this one, and the other one I want to go kill them, which is kind of an awkward balance. But
it's just weird. My bond with you has grown to where I want to go on a new journey. Oh, really? To kill your brothers?
Yeah, to murk the rest of your family. But I'm curious on the story. It's like 40 hours long, so it's going to be something I chip away at probably pretty slowly. I don't think it's something I'm going to end up covering here for the channel because I'm not going to rush through it. But it's something I play in bed every night, and I'm enjoying a lot. The one thing I will say is the performance sucks. I figured this would be fine because it looks really good. Like the graphics are super nice, but when it's docked, it is atrocious. Maybe, and it might not even be that bad, honestly. It might be just because I've been spoiled with the Series X and the PlayStation 5, and I've been playing at 60 frames so long. But it definitely, when I undock it and play it handheld, which is how I've played it the majority of the time, it is a lot smoother and the frame rate is much more stable. I'm getting a lot less of the clippiness and things like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I think the first Monster Hunter Stories was a DS or 3DS game, so
yeah, it was a 3DS.
I guess it's not. Yeah, I guess it's not too surprising that this would run better in like handheld mode.
Yeah, I almost exclusively played it handheld, and I think that's how I'm gonna play the rest of it out because it is so laggy when I play docked, which is unfortunate. I was really wishing it was going to run a little better because there's really not a whole lot to it. Most of the environments are pretty laggy. Stuff clips in pretty late. It takes a while for it to load in. It's not like Monster Hunter Rise, which is drop dead gorgeous and unbelievable that it's running on the Switch. It's very much that chibi art style, anime style RPG game, and I was very surprised at how poor it was performing.
Yeah, I think it's because it's like a completely different team. Because for how many games now they've been using that new RE engine for like the remakes, RE7 and 8, Monster Hunter World, Devil May Cry 5, and it is just a phenomenal engine, and it shows in Rise.
Yeah, and the final game I've been playing is Psychonauts. I'm literally like right at the end. I just need to finish that up. I think I'm on 7. I think you only had 6 fingers up. I'm gonna need you to throw another one up. I'm pretty positive that was 7. We'll know on the counter on the video version. Okay. The counter on the video version will hold true. But yeah, I'm finishing up Psychonauts. That game has no right being as good as it is.
I am the milkman. My milk is delicious.
Exactly. I got to that part and was busting up laughing. It's so funny, dude. I'm so ready for what the new one's going to be like. Because being that this isn't like a 2005 original Xbox game, I just want to know what this game can look like in 2021 running on the current specs of these systems. Because it is just so much fun. I mean, I can definitely tell it's an old game because old games are old. But it's not taking away from the enjoyment of it, especially with the Xbox being something that can like give all these old games boosts. Like seeing how good this game looks being a 2005 game is just insane.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's all I've been playing. What did we finish at? 7 games, and then obviously like Fortnite and anything else that multiplayer wise we hop on and play.
Basically, stuff that you can never really beat.
Yeah, stuff that I can't put down and I just keep going back to. Fortnite takes my money, you know, those kind of games.
Yeah. No, you beat Fortnite when like you end up owning every piece of cosmetic equipment you can.
I beat Fortnite when my Thanos snap emote finally wipes out everybody on the map.
There you go. Half of everybody. Half of everybody.
Half of everybody. You're right. You're right. But that's it. That's all we got. We literally have no topic. But there's been a lot of stuff that actually happened this week in terms of games. Like,
yeah,
the big thing that I addressed on my main channel and talked about that we haven't really talked about as a group yet is the new Switch.
Oh yeah, yep, the OLED new OLED Switch, which was definitely not what I think anyone saw coming.
No,
I mean, kind of did, kind of didn't.
No.
I mean, if you think about it, though, this sort of fits like Nintendo's niche. Really, it's
I mean,
like,
yeah,
they don't release like new powerful hardware. They just release something with a bigger screen.
Yeah, and I was disappointed, but it's not Nintendo's fault. It's not Nintendo's fault at all. It's everybody on Twitter with the Bloomberg posts and the articles and the leaks and everything that's like, oh, we're getting a new NVIDIA processor. We're getting, you know, an NVIDIA graphics card. We're getting, you know, 4K dockable. We're getting, you know, an OLED screen. Everybody had Switch Pro in their head. And I was one of those people. I don't even know how many videos I've made on my channel, my main channel, talking about the Switch Pro and how it's definitely coming. This is what's happening, people. Let's
We're
go.
Gonna get it. It's finally happening.
It's gonna happen. That's gonna be our third Switch model. You'll have 3 options to pick from. And then they announced this. You sent me the link to it while I was at work, and I started watching the video, and Toby heard the click of the Switch controllers, and he goes, dude, get the fuck back to work. He's like, what are you doing right now? He goes, we're not watching Switch shit while we're working. I was like, but it's important. He goes, no. So I waited. He went to the bathroom right after, and then I watched it.
Yeah, you wait till he went away. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, now for a Nintendo.
But then I was just sad. And it was, again, it's not Nintendo's fault, because I mean, they released 6 different versions of the freaking 3DS. Why did I expect us to get a new Switch? I don't know. It was just hype.
I mean, at least the screen actually does seem like significantly better. So who knows? This might be like the thing for people who play like majority of their games in handheld. So it's like, oh, nice. Now I can enjoy them with a bit of a bigger screen now, even though you can just dock it. I mean,
yeah. Okay. So that's the thing. I'm going to go around. We're going to all talk about how we play our Switch. This is my thought on this, because everybody plays their Switch a little differently than the other. Okay. So we're all going to pass around the baton, and we're going to talk about how we play. And if we think this thing, well, let's talk about the specs before we do this. Before we do that, let's talk about the specs of, is that a back scratcher?
It's my baton.
So the specs. So first off, it's the same internals. This isn't running games any better, right?
Yeah, it's all the same stuff.
It's a 7-inch screen. It's literally like if you take the original Switch and you see the black where your screen lights up. If you extend the screen to where the black is, that is where the new screen goes to. And that's literally all it is.
You look at those black lines like, so why didn't you just make the screen to cover those lines anyway?
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to look really nice with an OLED. It's going to look really nice.
Right.
Like Monster Hunter Stories is one that I'm like, wow, this would be super cool with an OLED Switch. But I'm not buying another one. But we'll get to that.
No.
Then they added a LAN adapter, which I already have for my dock. You know, I just bought a USB port that I plugged into it, and that attaches to an Ethernet cord. But it's nice that it has it. And I have seen things that the dock is going to be sold separately. So I'm assuming that the new dock is going to work with the old Switch, which is good.
Yeah, that I feel like that would make the most sense. Like, if you're gonna have a whole new dock, no point in like making people buy a completely new Switch just for that LAN port. Why not just sell the dock separately?
And I guess they got new audio features handheld, which that for me personally doesn't really do a whole lot. I normally just play with headphones or like just turn the sound off if I'm playing handheld.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then they just upped we got more hard drive space on the actual system. They doubled it from 32 to 64, which is good if you play only physical. If you're playing digital still, it's not that great. You're going to get a couple games on there and it's game over.
Don't you mean that doesn't digital take up more space than physical?
Isn't that what I said? Did I do it backwards?
Yes, you did it backwards, and I think you even did that with your first video talking about it.
Oh well, whatever. People know what I mean, okay? Okay, if you're playing physical, it's gonna take up less space on your device. But if you're playing digital, you're gonna take up a lot of space, and you're only gonna get a couple on there. Like,
Yeah,
I think Fortnite's gonna take up majority of the space. Like when my girlfriend had her
definitely.
Switch, that's what took up. She was like, "Oh, I only can fit Animal Crossing in Fortnite," and I was like, "Yeah, you need an SD card." So we immediately went out and bought more. But yeah, I guess if you're playing physical only, like if you're like me and have 30 Switch games sitting physically behind you, then you're probably all right. But
yeah, mine's like half and half. Like there's a select few games I'll get like a physical edition for, and then like other stuff, mainly like the indie title.
yeah, it's
stuff
mainly
I'll
the
get
indie stuff
digitally.
for me.
Yeah, it's because most indie stuff is only available digitally on that.
Unless
you can't really get a physical version.
Unless you catch the limited runs. The limited runs are I have been tempted to get a couple of those. But okay,
yeah,
we'll pass around the baton. We'll pass around the baton. We'll talk about, how we play our Switch, and then we'll see, is this thing worth it? And the price point. The price point is $350. It's only $50 more than the original Switch, which I think is pretty good.
I didn't think it was going to be like a significant price jump for essentially the biggest feature being just like a bigger handheld screen.
Yeah. So I'm gonna kick it to Toby. Tell us how you play your Switch. How do you enjoy this bad boy, this little marvel of a device?
I mean, I've probably only ever played my Switch in handheld.
So you're exclusively
Like
handheld
I
guy.
may have docked it twice.
Okay.
Interesting.
Which is that's a little odd, but I mean, to each their own.
I don't know. I've never felt the desire to. It seems to run.
I mean, that's the point of the thing.
laggy
I'm not
once
judging or anything.
Whenever I would dock it, it would lag. I don't want lag.
Yeah,
So,
right.
like I'm just like, and the screen's not bad, as everyone can see. I have glasses. I don't have great eyes. I can see it just fine. Like, so I don't have an issue with the screen size at all. I think this new Switch is bogus. It's useless.
No, I want to go that far. So you're not on board. You're not on board for the upgrade, huh?
No, it's awful. It's a waste of our time.
No, I don't know.
Okay, well, let's look at it, all right? So the Switch has been out for how long? All right, Kneeckoh, you know this probably better than anyone, so tell us.
Going on 5 years.
Yeah, and like a PS4 and Xbox Xbox One, they're gone now. Same time frame. We haven't gotten any upgrade for anything on a Switch. Like the power is absolute.
You gotta remember.
Like,
there was
useless.
that. I know most people forget about it because it's a very forgettable system. There was that small gap between the Wii and the Switch with the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One where the Wii U existed. It was only like a 4-year time frame, but the Wii U was a thing at that time.
It was that weird time where they sold the Wii with some sort of weird gamepad.
Yeah, but didn't that come out during the PS3 era still as well?
No, that was PS4. Because PS4 came out in 2013, I want to say.
2013, 2014.
Let's look. I'm Googling it.
I want to say it was 2013 around Christmas.
The only reason I know is because the only reason I remember is because I got it.
I was right.
Yeah, I remember because I got it my senior year of high school. Me and Trent, we waited like outside the Finley Mall for them to open up so we could get ours midnight release. Yeah, and like I was doing homework in the car, so that's the only reason I knew it was like 2013 or 2014.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So yeah, then the Wii U was. Let me look up the Wii U. I'm dropping things. Wii U release was 2012. So it was right 1 year before the release of the PS4 and the Xbox One.
Yeah, so just 1 year older.
Yeah. And then 2017 was the release of the Switch. So there was a 4-year gap between Switch and the PS4. Now I'm with you. It's totally underpowered, okay, in compared to even the last generation of systems.
It doesn't even make sense.
But Nintendo doesn't care. Because you know how many fucking units they move?
Well,
the Switch continues to be the best-selling system.
I know, but it's like personally, you asked my opinion, man.
I'm just saying.
It's awful. Garbage.
I'm not dogging your opinion, man, but it's shit.
But Rico, how do you play your Switch?
So mine is kind of like 50-50, as in I'll have like certain games that I will play dock, but then I'll also play handheld mode. Best example I can think of is roguelites like Dead Cell and Hades. Sometimes I'll play them docked, but majority of time was spent playing handheld.
Mhm.
And then I'll have games that I'll only play docked, like Monster Hunter Rise, Smash Bros. Ultimate. I'm pretty sure I played Mario Odyssey completely docked. Uh, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Basically the bigger games I would play majority of the time docked, and then usually those like smaller like indie title games, stuff that basically have that sort of a almost DS and Game Boy feel to them. I wouldn't mind like picking them out if I want to like go into another room, or if I just want to take my Switch somewhere with me to play it. Then
Yeah.
I'll play those games while on handheld.
So
So
what?
it's like 50-50 for me.
So for you, who plays 50/50, what do you think about the OLED model?
The OLED, let's see, like, do I think it's anything crazy? No, it's essentially this generation's like DS XL, 3DS XL. That's basically what it is. Is it gonna be is it gonna be a necessity? To some people, maybe. For people who probably play like majority of their time handheld, except for Toby, they really would like that like new like bigger OLED screen, and that'll really appeal to them. But I don't think it's something that you absolutely need as like someone who plays majority on Switch. It is nice though, like maybe like you're just want that just a little upgrade. So like you trade in your current Switch and get the new OLED model, but I don't think it's absolutely necessary for anyone. It's gonna be mainly when it comes down to preference.
Yeah. I did forget to mention the other thing with the new Switch is that bigger kickstand, which is really nice because you can adjust the tabletop mode, because the kickstand on the current model sucks balls if you're trying to play tabletop. So that is a nice feature, especially if you're someone who travels with your Switch. Like I used to take it on planes with me, and I would sit it on my plane table and play it handheld. Well, play it tabletop mode, and that was a good time. It just sucks because the kickstand can't adjust, but the new one can. So that is a perk. So for me, I'm the outlier in this data. Okay, I have two Switch. I have the Switch Lite and the normal Switch, and I play certain games exclusively docked. Like that's it. That's how they're played. That's how my brain works. Other games where I play them docked exclusively to get gameplay footage for videos, and then I boot them, save over to my Switch Lite, and I play them handheld the rest of the time. It just depends for me. I would say it's probably 50/50 the amount of time I play each. Like I play a lot handheld and I play a lot docked. And for a long time there, I played pretty much everything. If it wasn't a PlayStation exclusive, I played and it came to Switch, I played it on Switch because I could take it with me everywhere. I was a college kid. It was so much better for me to be able to take games like The Witcher to class with me and play it behind my laptop while the instructor was talking. Like that was so much better for me than keeping it on my PlayStation where I couldn't, play it anywhere I was at, because I commuted to college, so I was constantly away from my home console and all that stuff. So having the ability to take those bigger games with me was the best way, and I played Switch that for a long time. Anymore, now that I have Game Pass and these more powerful consoles, I've spoiled my eyes too much, and it's really hard to go back to those games on 30 FPS and not 1080p and things like that. So for me, I'm not upgrading. I have no desire to upgrade to the newest Switch model. I don't really have a need. I already have a dedicated handheld Switch and I have a dedicated dock Switch.
I was gonna say you already got two Switches. You don't need a third unless you're really
unless
you're willing to trade in one of the two.
Well, that's the thing, because I have the Switch Lite, which is my dedicated handheld, and then I have my normal Switch. I already like that. If I got the new one, the only purpose of having the new one is to have a new docked Switch, and I don't need that because I could just buy an OLED monitor, which I already have. So it's like I don't really need the $50 upgrade. Now, where I think this is going to be the best is where people that have waited to hop on the Switch train, and especially because for a while there they were unfindable. You couldn't get a Switch. So the people that have waited a while to hop into Switch, especially with Breath of the Wild 2 coming out, we got Metroid coming out. A bunch of these new Switch games are dropping. People might be like, "Oh, it's time to finally get a Switch," and they go to the store and they sit there and they see, "Oh, I can have $300 for the base Switch model. I'm not interested in the Switch Lite because that's only handheld, but I have $300 for the base Switch, or I could spend the extra $50, have all the bonuses of that, and get the prettier screen for handheld stuff." I think that's what's gonna really push this one.
Yeah, because like as we all know, there's people out there who probably still don't even have a Switch, and now you got this completely newer model. While even though it's not a significant jump from the original model, it's going to entice people more. It's like, well, if I'm going to get a Switch, I might as well get the best kind I can get.
Definitely. I think that is where it's really going to be big, is just especially, you know, with the holidays coming up. It's coming out in what, October 8th, I want to say, is the drop, same day as Metroid Dread.
Ooh, same day as Metroid Dread. Interesting.
I think that's the release date for it. So I definitely think that that's the big push, is it's the new holiday Switch for everybody that doesn't already have a Switch, and that's what people are planning on getting for Christmas. You know, might as well drop that extra $50 and get them, you know, a new Switch. And I know for a fact there's people out there that play their Switch like Toby, and they don't think this is bogus. They think this is a great investment. They're like, hell yeah, I want pretty colors. Like, that's what people are like. I'm all for that. So people are likely gonna just go trade their Switch in and get the upgrade and be really happy with what they got, especially if they are the handheld players.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be something geared more towards like people who play majority handheld, or people like how like you said, like maybe like in your situation, like in the middle of college, so they're always going to class a lot, or like walking around campus or anything, and just don't really have time to actually sit in their dorm and play games, and they're gonna want like a good handheld to play on.
Yeah, and I can't fault the Switch for that. Like, Skyrim's great on it. There's so many games on it that are fantastic, even in the third party realm. They may not look as good. Like, if you don't have a next gen system and they don't, I see Tony shaking his head. I'll let him talk here in a minute. If you don't have a next gen system, because they are hard to come by right now, and you haven't spoiled your eyes with these next gen, you know, 120, 60 frame games, you don't care. And some people, that's the thing. That's another thing we got to talk about, is like the three of us, Toby a little less so than you and I, Rico, but the three of us, we're kind of dialed in on this shit. We play a lot of video games. The average person doesn't play a lot of video games like us. They have a couple that they hop in and play. So it's like, for other people, they don't look at this and like, oh, it's a small upgrade. They look at this and go, hey, this one's better than this one, and it's only $50 more.
Yeah, it's like we're definitely done into where it's like we're now nitpicking like every like thing, like you said, like next gen has spoiled your eyes to where like you can't really go back to a Switch game now and look at it the same way after you've seen like true gaming hardware power now.
Yeah, and okay, I need to know, why are you shaking your head over there, Toby?
Just, you keep like, oh, it's a $50 difference. It's so great. Yeah. Okay, everything in this dang Switch is exactly the same, and they can run this 64 gig hard drive, and they have this new LED screen, but nothing has changed inside of it other than that. Nothing. So that should have been the original Switch.
But
not true. I heard
pretty colors.
We're literally paying $50 for what the original Switch should have been, and it drives me insane.
But the pretty colors.
You said nothing changed on the inside, but I heard they put a picture of Mario on the circuit board in this one.
Oh, go them. Go them, dude.
I'm with you. I 100% agree this should have just been the original Switch model, but that's never been like Nintendo. You could say the same thing with the 3DS XL. Like, hey, that should have just been the original 3DS, but it wasn't. And people went out and bought a better 3DS, you know? That's just how they've always done business. And that's why it's no surprise that this is how they're doing it. I have zero.
I mean, I never understood that either.
But think how many units the 3DS sold.
You and I lived together. I had an original DS until it almost broke. And then we finally upgraded to the XLs.
Yeah, it was.
And then when I got my 3DS, I never upgraded. It was my purple 3DS the entire time.
Yeah, but it's you're not the average. You know, you're very conservative. Once you have a console, you run that thing till it's dead. Where, you know, if I see something pretty, I might be more entitled to go and buy
it. Don't go to Vegas then and stay out of all.
I mean, for Christ's sake, I had a Series S. I had the opportunity to get a Series X, and I traded that fucker in, and I got a Series X. All right, I upgraded as soon as the possibility presented itself. Where you're like, I'm cool with mine. I'm cool sitting on this bad boy.
Yeah, I haven't even got a bigger hard drive for it yet.
I definitely would
delete
recommend
games and hope for the best.
I definitely would recommend. But yeah, so like, I definitely, it hits a different market. I know you think it's bogus, but I think it's a really smart decision. I think it's super smart, because now they have three models. They have the Switch Lite at 200, they have the normal one at 300, and they have the slightly above average one at 350 mark. Now,
I'm not saying it wasn't necessary. I'm just saying it should have been the OG.
I'm not disagreeing, especially because the LAN cord. Everybody's talking about the LAN cord. There was a LAN adapter on the original fucking Xbox.
Was there really?
Yes. Go look at your Xbox in your closet. There's a damn LAN adapter on there. It's so like it's something that should have been there originally. I 100% agree, but you know, it's still cool that we're getting it. But I don't think this means that the Switch Pro is dead.
I don't know why it would be.
Because I don't know
not.
who it was. I don't know if it was Jeff Grubb or if it was somebody else. But somebody tweeted and they were like, yeah, it's the Switch Pro is definitely dead. Just like the PS4 Pro was dead after releasing the PS4 Slim. Just like the Xbox One X was dead after they released the Xbox One S. Well, the Xbox One S. Like, those released pretty quickly after the smaller versions of the base consoles released. And I don't see that being any different than the current Switch. I could definitely see them next year being like, hey, by the way, here's Breath of the Wild 2, day and date with a Switch Pro. I still think that is 100% possible.
Just imagine while we're in the middle of recording this right now, Nintendo actually like just dropped a trailer for a Switch Pro coming out.
Yeah, that's what we need.
Yeah,
because that makes sense.
I think
makes sense to Nintendo.
Yeah, it's a weird Nintendo decision. I think it's definitely still on the table. I think it's still coming because that's then after that happens, Tony, what you're saying that the OLED should have been the original model, then it is going to become the original model. Where next year at this time, when we're sitting here talking about the Switch Pro, we're going to be talking about how the OLED is now 300 and now the upgraded model is the Switch Pro, and the model that we currently have doesn't exist anymore. Once that...
Hey, I'm all right with that because then the interior will be upgraded and, you know, it'll make sense.
Yeah,
I won't be paying for the things that it should have been from the start.
I hear you. But I promise you that's what's going to happen. Hold me to it in a year. I guarantee you. Switch Pro is coming out, Breath of the Wild 2. It's a holiday release, and we will no longer have the current Switch model. That's my theory.
Okay.
I mean, I can see.
You guys want to bet on this? Like, why not?
I think this is, and it'll be something stupid too. It's gonna be just like the 3DS. It'll be like the new It'll be the new Nintendo Switch Super XL Pro DSi. You know, 100 different names because they suck at naming all their devices. I mean, the new Switch is literally called Nintendo Switch (OLED model).
No, it goes from the Nintendo Switch to the Nintendo Top.
Yes, there you go.
For all you out there in the BDSM community, you know what the joke.
It's just like I don't get it. I wish they would have announced it now. I'm still sad that the Switch Pro is not coming, but I know it is, you know?
You wanna know why you're sad?
Yeah. Why is that?
You can guess. Just say it. Just say it for me.
I just don't know where you're going.
It's a bogus deal. It's a bogus deal, man.
It's not. It's again.
It's fine.
It hits a different.
Fine.
It hits a different market, man. That's what it is. It's a different market, and it's gonna be a lot of people buying this thing. I swear, dude. If I was in the market, like if I literally was like, I don't have my Switch Lite, I want something to play handheld, I would probably get it. But it's just not something I really think about right now, especially because, again, I have two Switch. It's just not... I said this in my video, too. I was like, I have two Switch. It's not for me. When the Switch Pro comes, you best fucking believe that I have a Switch Pro. Without even any hesitation, day one, pre-ordered, boop, done.
I was gonna say, like, I'll see the trailer, I'll send it to you like I usually do. Is like, you see us, he's like, yep, 2 pre-ordered already.
Yep, it's gonna be... and I will love every minute of it. And you know what'll happen? There's literally... They're gonna put a side-by-side. It's gonna be Breath of the Wild 2 on original Switch versus on the new Switch. And it's just better FPS. It doesn't look any better. It just runs smoother. And I'm like, hell yeah, baby, let's go!
And then, all of a sudden, you see a new Breath of the Wild 2 trailer. Zelda's fighting off Ganon. He's getting beat. All hope seems lost. Then all of a sudden, you hear clacking of heels in the distance. Those aren't heels. Those are guns. And here comes Bayonetta coming in to save the day. It's really a Bayonetta 3 trailer. Finally!
Not a chance. You let that dream die.
God damn it.
Just like Metroid Prime 4. Let it die. Metroid Prime 4 is never happening. I'm convinced.
It doesn't exist.
It exists. It's a Switch Pro game. It's a Switch Pro game. I'm telling you, it's not coming out on the current Switch. It's coming out when the Switch Pro comes. It'll be on the current Switch, but it won't come out until after the Switch Pro is here. I'm calling that one as well.
Just wait till that next Nintendo Direct and they open up with like all the games that have just been in limbo we haven't heard about.
I mean, that's it. It's gonna happen. What do you guys think? Switch Pro still happening? Is it still on?
I mean, there's a chance. I'm just skeptical because like I've never really seen Nintendo yet do like where they'll, unless it's like a completely new console, release like more powerful hardware of the same console.
New Nintendo 3DS.
3DS was bogus.
No, don't even talk like that. The 3DS is a fantastic system. So many games.
No, in my opinion, all it was just a somewhat more glorified DS with United the pictures pop off the screen, which really it just hurts your eyes.
I didn't even play the 3D on. I literally just played it. Monster Hunter was on there. The Zelda,
yeah, it was pointless.
The remasters of Zelda, all the Pokemon games. There were so many games. There was that 2D Metroid game. What was it? Samus Returns. That was really good. Luigi's Mansion.
I don't know. I thought Ocarina of Time on the 3DS was awesome.
Yup.
Any like cutscene, you just flip on the 3D.
Mario 3D Land.
So
that
good.
game was awesome. So much on the DS. So much on the 3DS. Such a good system. What are you doing?
It looks hurt.
Toby, what about you? Switch Pro, is it happening?
Yeah, I think it'll happen. I don't see Nintendo straying away from the Switch style.
Oh, I think they've hit a gold mine with the Switch branding, and I think every subsequent system is going to be somehow the Switch. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think they're gonna stay here for sure.
The branding's too good.
They're gonna be here for a while.
Granted, I say that, and the Wii also was a huge success, and they stepped away from the Wii, but I guess they kind of killed that. They killed it with the Wii U, but
you can say they stepped away from the Wii, but think about it. The Wii was just motion controls, and then what do we got with the Switch?
I mean, yeah, I'm not disagreeing. I'm saying the branding.
It's still here.
I'm not saying that the way the system handles is different. I'm saying the branding. Like I could see them eventually being like, here is your new Switch Series S or Series X, and it's just a home console. Like that
Switch
bitch,
5.
Yeah, that bitch is a home console. It does not switch. Like I could hear the Switch Fixed. That's what it's called. It's the Switch Fixed because you can't actually switch it anymore. It's literally just a home console. You can still take your Joy-Cons off and do motion controls. That's the Switch part, but it doesn't do handheld anymore, and it's literally just a home console. It's super powerful. It has the upgraded specs that we're looking for outside of a Switch Pro. This is even more powerful than a Switch Pro. This is years in the future, boys. Okay, I have my tinfoil fucking hat on now. All right, you sent me down the rabbit hole, and now I'm talking. All right, this is gonna be fucking Yugi's. It's looking like Yugi's jacket. The PS5 fucking looks like Kaiba's jacket. We're gonna get Yugi's jacket and the Switch Fixed. All right, it's gonna stand vertically. It's gonna be crazy. All right, it's gonna be crazy. It's not a hybrid console. It is a home fucking console. It sits on your desk or your TV stand, wherever the hell you play games. I don't care. That's where it's sitting, and you're not taking it with you. You're not sitting in the back of the car with it playing games. You're not sitting on the plane. That bitch stays at home, and then you have your Switch Pro, your Switch OLED, your Switch Lite for whatever else. All the games still work on it. They just run a whole lot better on the Switch Fixed. That's what I'm calling, man. You can quote me on it.
Tony, I think he's finally lost it. I think he's finally gone off the deep end.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
That's all I'm saying. Hey, man. We had 6 fucking 3DS models. 6. There were so many different 3DS. There was the 3DS base model. There was the new there was the 3DS XL before the new 3DS. Then we had the 2DS, which was the goddamn cheese wedge, okay? Then we had the new 3DS, which only came out in Japan, except for in like bundle deals, which was odd. Then we had the new 3DS XL. Then we had the new 2DS, and then they were like, you know what? We should probably stop making 3DS now. And then that's where we settled.
He's still going.
So I'm just saying, down the road we're gonna have the Switch Lite, we're gonna have the Nintendo Switch. Eventually that'll disappear. We're gonna have the Switch OLED. We're gonna have the Switch Pro. We're gonna have the Switch Lite Pro, and then way out in like 2025, we're gonna have the Switch Fix. And that bitch sits on your desk or your TV stand.
I'm getting the tranquilizer. We gotta knock him out. Get the scientists calling NASA. I don't know. Someone needs to probe him or something.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. We had 6 3DS. They're gonna match it. They're gonna one up them. They're gonna be 7 Switch. Calling it.
Okay, we need to switch gears for a second before he starts talking about raiding the Pentagon for that Switch Pro. So what else happened this week?
I on Twitter, just the usual, PlayStation versus Xbox feuds, which I still don't understand.
And you forget something else, not necessarily as big as the new Switch, but still kind of big. Finally got a new State of Play from PlayStation after pretty long silence.
I still haven't watched that, but
there's some interesting stuff. You're nothing like crazy or anything. Mostly a bunch of like indie and third-party titles. You did look at the Tribes of Midgard stuff, right?
Yeah, I saw a lot of the trailers individually. I just haven't watched the entire showcase.
Right, and Tribes of Midgard, I feel like might be a game even you, Tony, will like, because it looks essentially like Diablo, but with Norse mythology setting.
And it looks like there was an element of base building there.
Yeah, because there is like a 10-player co-op survival mode that you can do.
That looked pretty cool. It was giving me Valheim vibes. If you mix Valheim and Diablo, that's what I was getting out of it.
Right. And then another game that I feel like might be interested in, it's called Hunter's Arena Legends.
That's the battle royale with the melee, right? It's all like melee battle royale. Yeah, I was telling Toby about that.
It's not like entirely a battle royale though, from what it sounds like. It sounds like it does have a battle royale mode, but that's not the whole game. So it seems more like, from what I got of it at least, that there's gonna be 2 modes. There's a battle royale mode, which you can do single player or run trios with, and then other than that, there's like a basic like entire like almost like MMO open world kind of deal where like you can go around, you fight demons, but also like run into other players and fight them. And here's the best part about it. It's coming out next month, but it's launching as a free PlayStation Plus game.
And that excites me. I am so ready to hop in and try this because I love when people take Battle Royale. It's one of my favorite game genres right now, okay? I like Battle Royales. They're fun as hell. Getting that victory, there's few things that hit quite as good as getting a victory royale, okay? But I like when people take and do unique things with them. Like, all the ones I play are all very unique in their own way. You like Fortnite with the building. Apex, you got the different characters with the power-ups. And then Warzone's more your traditional shooter. I'm really looking forward to this one. I'm really looking forward to it.
This entire, like, melee fantasy-based one, kind of.
Yes. It excites
me. This isn't PlayStation only, is it?
It is PlayStation only, but is it on PlayStation 4 is the question.
I believe it is. They did say it's going to be on the PlayStation Plus free game for both PS4 and PS5.
Boom. So that way we can all play it together and try it out.
Okay, someone remind me to get to update my PS4 so I can do that.
Yeah, update it and make sure it doesn't, take blast off when trying to run some stuff.
You don't want it, you don't want the jet engine in it to shoot it out the wall or anything.
Right.
Mine's not loud. It might be an OG model, but it's fine. It's still kicking.
Mine was getting kind of loud.
But yeah, so out of the State of Play, majority of it was so when they said it was going to be more Deathloop focused with that deep dive into the gameplay, I thought that was going to take up half the State of Play, but no, they saved it till towards the end, which I think was nice. Because other than that, it was mainly some new indie games, updates on some stuff that was already announced. That Sifu game, that's sort of
that looks cool too. Game. I'm kind of digging that.
Yeah, it really cool. They showed off how I guess the mechanic's gonna be where every time you get defeated, your guy older. Ages. Yeah, you age. But even though you get older, you get more wisdom and knowledge, so you basically become a better fighter. I think that's really interesting how it's like you think like aging would be like a setback, but no, it's really like when you lose, you actually get better.
Well, I mean, if you look
The
at the
sad part,
old kung fu movies, it's always the guy with like the braided beard training the like younger guy because
right?
he's got like Mr. Miyagi, dude. Like that's the vibe I'm getting. Like you get Mr. Miyagi as you die, and it excites me, man. This game because it's basically the game going, hey, you know, you kind of suck at this game. You know, you're not too good. You died. But you know what we're going to do? We're going to make you stronger. The game actually gets easier, but it's tied into the gameplay loop in a way that doesn't make you feel like dog shit
Right.
for being bad at the game. You're just like, no, I've wisened up. No, you're bad, but they tied it. It's really smart. It's really smart.
Now, the sad part is that at the State Play, they did update the release date. Originally, they were going to try and get it out this year, but they delayed it till 2022.
I did see that as well.
Yeah, I think it's still early 2022. I don't know if they said that, but
they said it was for
this
crunch. They didn't want to have anybody crunching, and they wanted to bring out the best game possible. And I think everybody is pretty much on the same page that that's totally okay, especially after Cyberpunk.
I was going to say, that's like the one thing people can sort of like almost thank Cyberpunk for. They realize like, don't really try and push for games to come out as quickly as possible because chances are that it's not ready. And if you pressure like these developers or teams to like get a game out before people stop caring, then you're gonna get something that's basically not finished.
In a game like this, I didn't even know it was a thing until the State of Play. Apparently it was announced a while ago, but I didn't know it was a thing. But after seeing it at the State of Play, I'm hyped. I don't care that it got delayed. I was like, oh shit, a kung fu game and I get old as I die and I get more wise. I was like, this sounds awesome. Give me this.
I know. And now here's something I feel like would be more with Tony's taste, my fellow anime enthusiast. I don't know if how much you'll care, Kneeckoh. Is
I'll just go take a leak
demon,
real quick.
Yeah, okay. Is a Demon Slayer game, and it's going to be made by CC2, the same people who made the Ultimate Naruto Ultimate Ninja Store games, and it shows in like the gameplay and how all that stuff, and it looks really good. Like,
so is it like a fighting game then?
Yeah, like if you look up trailers and the gameplay, it looks like it plays exactly like the Ultimate Ninja Storm games. Even like the story stuff seems like it plays out like in a similar style. But the open world seems like better, more lively and stuff like that.
Would you be able to compare it to like DBZ Kakarot?
No, it's not going to be like an RPG-esque kind of thing like DBZ Kakarot was. It's basically just going to be simple. You play as the characters, you go and slay demons either in like a somewhat beat 'em up style or like some boss battle styles, and then of course you have your like basic like 1v1 player versus player stuff. And so like if you remember how the Ultimate Ninja Storm games played, then that's what you're basically going to be getting with this, which is good.
Okay.
Which is fine because CC2 are gods at anime games. They make everything look so good. And that now for the big stuff I guess you could quote unquote 3 big stuff that came out of State of Play. Announcement for, I don't know if you guys know of this game, a game called Judgment. That's
it's like a Yakuza game.
Yeah, it's like a Yakuza spin-off game, kinda. So that's getting a sequel called Lost Judgment, which I never played Judgment. I don't know how familiar you guys are with it. Yeah, as essentially it's like you're playing as, I think, this detective for hire. I don't know anything about the story, but you're basically playing as this detective for hire while you're trying to solve a case. And it has like your quirky Yakuza mini games and stuff, and then like the beat 'em up style combat and everything. So it looks good. It's
the same developers, right?
Yeah, it should be I believe it's the same developers. And it actually comes out September 24th, so not too long till that comes out. And it's going to have a PS4 and PS5 version. And now the true 2 big ones. I said 3 big ones, but the sequel is like, what's our... Now we got 2 big ones. We got more of a look on what Death Stranding's director's cut
that intrigues me, okay? Because I didn't play Death Stranding, so I'm kind of interested in picking up the director's cut.
Yeah, I need well, now I might hold off till the director's cut comes out and to hop back into Death Stranding. But they definitely showed off a lot of what's going to be added. A bunch more of like transportation gadgets and stuff like ramps, a robot that walks with you or can walk for you. Sort of like...
I'll let you finish up, but I do want to stop and talk about director's cuts for a minute here.
Oh yeah, I was gonna kind of like bring it up as like it seems like director's cut is gonna be like a thing that Sony does now.
But go ahead, keep talking about the director's cut of whatever it is.
Yeah, so
Death Stranding.
From So from what I can tell, Director's Cut is gonna be basically like Sony's new. So you know how like they would sort of like release like new versions of games that would say like greatest
Yeah.
hits like on the
Like
cover,
I've
classic
got, what
hits,
do I got
stuff like
behind me?
that.
I've got God of War greatest hits. I got Horizon greatest hits. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's essentially like the those were essentially just like the complete game. Like you got some of like either more of or essentially all of like the little DLC stuff that they would have, which wasn't anything crazy, but it was basically like the full final product to sort of like really celebrate that game. There it looks like they're going a step further now with director's cuts to where like now it's not just improvements on essentially classic PlayStation games. So far it looks like they're mainly doing PS4 games, but also like adding in a shit ton of like new content for these classic games. To where like now is being asked like what other like classic PlayStation games would you like see get the director's cut treatment? Because now you're not just getting a maybe like slightly visually improved game, but who knows like what other new content you'll get with it.
So there was a whole debate we had last week talking about the director's cut, because that's when they announced the Ghost of Tsushima. And to catch Tony up to speed, because I know he doesn't follow this as heavy as us, basically the director's cuts are their like PS5 version. Because like if you think about Xbox, with our Xboxes, it doesn't matter what game we buy, it runs on any of the Xboxes. It runs on Xbox One, and it runs on the Series X if you get it physically. It runs on the Series S and X if you get it digitally. You know, it just figures out which box you're on, and then it makes it better. On the PlayStation side, they don't have that feature. Most of their upgrades are costing money. Like it cost me $20 to upgrade Spider-Man to the PS5 version, you know, all that kind of shit. So what they're doing is they're re-releasing these games with additional content. We're calling it the director's cut. So like the Ghost of Tsushima one has additional story content for the actual campaign, and it's coming with a whole DLC expansion and more of the multiplayer stuff that it involved as well. But it adds a whole new expansion with a new island, you know, and all that shit. And they're charging $30 for that one. But the Death Stranding one is only $10. So there's been a lot of debate, you know, why are some more than others, you know. And that's kind of the biggest thing in regards to the current director's cut thing. And that's kind of what I want to talk about, because like for me it's kind of silly. Like it doesn't bug me any to pay the extra, because I'm down to get the upgrade and the DLC content anyways. But it is kind of ridiculous that they are charging different prices for some of this, when things like Xbox do that free upgrade no matter what hardware you're playing on. Go ahead, Toby.
You go ahead.
Yeah, no, you go, Toby. I'm trying to get my thoughts together.
Okay. So I mean, I don't see an issue with having to pay for it if they're gonna keep adding things to the game. So you said with, I mean, I don't even know what Death Stranding really is, but you said that they added a few extra things to it, like the vehicles and whatnot.
Right.
So that's not in the original game. Okay,
Yes,
so that's fine. It's a $10 upgrade. Get over it. Like they're adding things to your experience, so you should have to pay a little bit for it. Ghost of Tsushima, they're adding a whole new expansion.
Yes.
Right,
Get
exactly.
over it.
I
They're
have
adding
something
more to your game.
I get that. Okay, but there is this slight thing, okay? And here's where I'm getting at. Okay, so like I just said, I'm interested in the director's cut for Death Stranding, right? I don't have Death Stranding. But I could go buy a PlayStation 4 copy of Death Stranding right now for probably like 40, 30. It's not full price, okay? I get it at a discounted price. But that registers that I have the game on my PlayStation 5, and I only have to spend the $10 on my copy of the director's cut, versus Caleb, who bought Death Stranding, you know, at the full price, and then now has to spend the $10 and pay $70, versus me paying like, you know, 40 or whatever it may be.
Well, that's what we call depreciation. All right.
Yeah.
Time has gone on, so the game itself
the
has
PlayStation 5
depreciated
version,
value.
but the PlayStation 5 version is still $70 of the director's cut.
Well, I don't think any game should be $70, but
Actually, hold
that's
on. Let
beside the
me
point.
keep talking. I'm checking something.
I'm pretty sure. I was pretty sure that it's $70. That's just the PlayStation way. PlayStation, since this generation has come out, all the new games are $70, with the exception of like the smaller titles, like Spider-Man Miles Morales. I think was only like 50 on last gen and 60 on PlayStation 5, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, and I think I've always thought that was silly, but I mean, whatever. People are buying it, so.
Well, at this point in time, games are just getting more expensive to make. It's just how it is. Like but we were talking last week, I think it was, on the podcast, that the budget for The Last of Us Part 2 was $100 million. they gotta up that price on next gen hardware if they want to make their money back, especially on a game like that where you don't have the continuous payments coming in through microtransactions like Fortnite and things of that nature.
Okay, so here I'm going to chime in now finally. So the thing with Death Stranding Director's Cut is it's actually not $70.
What's the price?
It's only 50 just for the standard Death Stranding Director's Cut. And then you can get the digital deluxe edition for 60.
Interesting.
And the digital deluxe edition for the PS4, oh no, wait, that's basic Death Stranding, so never mind on that. But yeah, the basic director's cut is just $50. That's on PS5, and then the deluxe edition is $60. So it's right now this is like the cheapest PlayStation exclusive to go to PS5, as far as I know. So that is interesting.
See, but again, I could still go buy the original Death Stranding here on Amazon for $26, and then I could spend $10, and rather than spending the $50, I get the $36 game. You know what I'm saying? So there's definitely
you made an intelligent decision. I'm proud of you.
I hear you, but there's a flaw in that system. There's a definite flaw in that system.
Well, I'm not denying that, but it still doesn't change the depreciation fact. Like, yeah, Rico here may have bought that game early, so he had to pay 60. That sucks. You waited. You didn't play it. Now they're upgrading it, and they're like, hey, we're going to make it $10. So you do the smart thing. You go online, you buy it. That's just playing the system. There's loopholes in just about anything.
Plus you gotta think, like, how often does, like, a new game gets announced, you can't wait to play it. Once it finally comes out, how often do you actually, like, wait till the price goes down if it's a game you, like, really want to try out and play? Like, we all know, like, by now, like, as time goes by, games are going to go down in value. Like, I know that risk every time I get into games. Like, this is going to be cheaper at some point in time, but
like
I want it
Cyberpunk
now.
being $20 right now at GameStop.
Yeah, pretty much. But at the time, like, I didn't care. It's like, yeah, the price is going to go down eventually, but I want to play this now. Like, I know eventually that, like, some sort of, like, version's going to come out. Like, here's the thing. Like, here's a good comparison. So a trend with, like, fighting games basically is, like, you know how with fighting games, like, the main DLC is, like, getting new fighters, and you get, like, your season passes and everything, and you get, like, 6 or 5 fighters every season, something like that. At some point, eventually, that when they reach towards the end of that fighting game's life cycle, they're going to essentially re-release it as almost like a complete edition, to where, like, it's going to be like the same, like, let's say the same $60 price, but now it's going to have, like, all the DLC and all those extra fighters in it. So this isn't something that's inherently new that just PlayStation is doing. That's fair. This is something that's been a thing, like, at least most prominently with, like, within the fighting game community, but I'm pretty sure if I dive into it, other games have probably done too. So this isn't necessarily, like, something completely new.
Yeah, I that's fair. It's just something that I've seen a lot on social media, and I wanted to get everybody's kind of take on it, because like I said, it doesn't bug me. I'll drop the whatever price that I need to get the game, right?
Right.
I just see a lot of people complaining about it, especially because Xbox does that smart delivery where they just figure out, hey, you're playing on your Xbox One right now. Oh, you finally got your Series X. You have the same game. You have the same save, but it's now upgraded. It's just a lot of comparisons that I've seen online. But let's talk about Deathloop, because that was the final thing in the State of Play. And let's wrap this bitch up, because we're going over an hour now. We're almost an hour and 10 minutes in.
Yep, so we got Deathloop, and like a straight 9 minutes deep dive into the gameplay, which some people, like, were complaining. It's like, oh my god, we've already seen so much of Deathloop. Like, who cares at this point? It's like, I honestly like when they do these, like, just straight, like, 9 to 10 minutes deep dives into the gameplay. Because sure, you got your gameplay trailers and stuff, but I like it where it's just, like, straight, uninterrupted, like, unedited gameplay of someone just, like, going through it. How really any player could go through a level on their own, really. And I initially, like, I was already gonna get this game because I was interested, but after seeing the gameplay, it has me more hyped than ever.
Yeah, Deathloop's one that I'm really looking forward to. And ever since they announced it, it was one that I was looking forward to. Back when they showed it off at the original, when they announced the PlayStation 5, I was like, I want this game. And it doesn't bug me. Like, I've seen a lot of Deathloop shit, okay? I've watched a lot on Deathloop because it's something that really interests me, and it's something that I watch more stuff on, and I have more questions and answers. And it intrigues me, especially regarding the Microsoft acquisition of Bethesda. It's really curious because this is the first game, since that acquisition that's coming out exclusively on PlayStation, at least for the first year, because I did see that was announced as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, do you?
It's timed exclusivity runs out like September
A year after it
22nd next year.
launches, yeah.
Yeah.
Was that Toby?
So, do you guys know? Is it gonna be Is it gonna be on PS4?
Deathloop is not. Deathloop is exclusively a PS5.
Okay,
If I'm
because I
not
know it
mistaken,
came.
I can double check
Like
it.
they showed it off so far back that I wasn't sure, and like
Yeah.
I was intrigued by it, but I don't have a 5.
Yeah, I have it right here. I think this kind of confirms it. All it says is arrives on PS5 September 14th.
I'm fairly
So if
certain it is
Yeah.
PS5 exclusive, but that's only for a year. In a year, it'll be on Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah,
So-
so
I
like,
can wait.
I figured that would be your response.
I will say, like, it does look like, because it does have that Dishonored like gameplay look to it, in which Dishonored has always like been one of like most fun looking like games to play, really. And I'm
Yeah.
also very interested on how basically like that live, die, repeat mechanic so works out, because to me it almost sounds like is this just like a big budget like kind of like roguelike, because that could actually be really good.
And they've said numerous times it's not a roguelike, but it sounds so much like a roguelike.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see is like how is this whole like live, die, repeat thing gonna be, is the only way to beat this game just to not die and perfect your runs or something,
Well, I
or
think
just
it's
to
you
find
have
the
a
right path.
From what I gather, there's also a time limit. It's not just if you die. If you don't do it by the end of the day, the loop resets. From what I gather. So you have to kill all of these people within the X amount of time that they give you. I don't know what the time is in game, how it all plays out, but you have to do it within a certain time frame before the day ends, otherwise the loop will reset. Plus there's the added bonus of that character, the other person that's out trying to kill you. That is also a super interesting variable.
Yeah, because isn't that like literally like an actual like actual like live person trying to kill
It can
you?
be. It can be another person playing that character, or it can be an NPC. It doesn't really matter. And that's one thing that's like everything else in the loop pretty much resets. Everything goes back to where it was at the start of the day, where that's the one variable that you never know where the hell that's going to pop up. So that's something that really, really interests me.
Yeah, so like overall, this game just seems like it's very interesting with the concept it's going for, and some of these like mechanics of basically like you relive the same day every day, but like you said, you have like this one player which you don't know what they're gonna do or when they're gonna pop up.
Tony,
And then like I'm wondering how like is there any like upgrades? How's that factor in? Like if you die, do you lose anything you have upgraded? How does that all work out?
Tobe, I saw you making some motions. Do you have something to comment on that?
No, I mean I haven't really looked at this game too much since the first time it was showed at E3, just because the fact that I didn't plan on getting a next gen console for a while. Um, so I mean, I'm just kind of listening and taking it in myself.
It's like I'm just letting you guys sort of do the talk.
I mean, the biggest thing I wanted to see out of it is if they announced that timed exclusivity, because of the fact that it was right after this was announced, Microsoft made the big dick energy move and they fucking bought Bethesda. So I was like, there's no way this game doesn't eventually make its way. And sure as shit, right at the end of the trailer, they showed off timed exclusive for 1 year. And I'm sure it'll be the same with Ghostwire Tokyo whenever we see more on that game. But that is something that I was not surprised at. I saw a lot of, the PlayStation bots on fucking Twitter talking shit. We got Deathloop, Xbox doesn't. Guess that $7.5 billion you spent to buy them, was well spent. And then it's like, oh, well, we get it in a fucking year on Game Pass and we don't have to spend anything on it. It's like, joke's on you.
It's like, look at our 2 Bethesda games, Xbox. How you like that? We bought Bethesda. What?
Yeah, it's like, it's coming regardless. Whether you like it or not, it'll eventually be on Xbox, and it'll be just as good then as it is when it comes out, or it'll be just as bad. We don't know how good this game's going to be. I'm hoping it's going to be awesome because it's on pre-order.
Yeah, so I mean, I have high hopes for it. That's for sure.
I also am very much looking forward to playing it. That was that was the first thing I pre-ordered as soon as I got the PlayStation. I was like, Deathloop needs to be on that list.
It's like Deathloop and give money.
Yep. But that's all we got. I think that went pretty well for not actually knowing what the hell we were going to talk about.
Yeah, no, I think it went fine. We covered a few different topics and everything.
Yeah, I think we did pretty great.
Yeah, especially with like Toby's first time being on here.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, my name's Tony.
But that is going to be it for this episode of the End of the Chat Gaming Podcast. Welcome. Well, thank you for joining the chat. I almost introduced the podcast again because I'm tired. I'm sleep deprived over here. But thank you for joining the chat with us. You can catch me over on Kneeckoh Gaming on YouTube and on my social medias, my Twitch and my TikTok and my Twitter. It's all Kneeckoh Gaming on Twitter, and I think TikTok it's Kneeckoh_gaming. Check that out. The other guys don't care about social media. They don't have their own YouTube channel. So Rico always says follow the damn channel at the end of these. So Toby, I'm sure that's the same for you. Follow the damn channel. Enter the chat. You'll see more stuff from us. Like I said, we got the second Extinction video coming. Rico's going to have a video. He posted something in the calendar. There's another video he's going to be doing later this week. I've got the
basically
X review coming.
Basically, kind of like what we did here towards the end. I'm going to go over like the entire state of play, just sort of like a recap of what was shown and talk about the game shown.
Yep. So a lot of stuff coming, and then right now we're getting to a point where there's a lot of games coming out that we're going to be able to do collective, like the second Extinction video where we just kind of goof off and play the game together. There's going to be a lot more of that coming because, like right now, off the top of my head, Fall Guys is coming out cross-platform on everything. That's going to be a good one to hop into. Yep. We were talking about, what was the other one, that Melee Hunters Arena or whatever that was, the Battle Royale.
Oh yeah, definitely that. And then I was gonna propose one if like you wanted me to say it now or like wait till you wrap this up.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say like we did this before like on your main channel, but like would you maybe want to do like dive into Smash just to check out Kazuya? I know it's not like a character you really care for, so it's just like out there as
we
an
can
idea.
do that if we can do that anytime you'd like. But yeah, we got a lot of games coming. A lot of that kind of gameplay stuff coming here soon. And I'm sure there'll be other games like when new seasons of Fortnite drop, that stuff's going to happen. But lots coming to the channel, so make sure you are subscribed. Leave a comment. This is something I keep forgetting to say. Leave a comment and we will read it off. If it's a good comment, we'll read it off in the next episode. You know, we'll talk about it. So leave a comment. But that's it. That is all we got for you. Peace out, everybody.
Bye.